So yeah, so the second cop leaves, and Skip hasn't taped the door. He hasn't come back. He was on. They were calling him on the phone. He hasn't come back, and so now it's like 3:30, 4 o'clock. They're gonna close the gate at 4:30. I'm gonna be locked out. So I call the cops again, and while I'm on hold waiting to ask a cop to come out to make sure that Skip tapes this door, cops roll up and stop right there. I was like, oh, that's perfect. I hung up the phone. And Skip comes out of the back, wherever he was. He had arrived. He was talking with Fred. He says, officers, I called you. I'm having a problem with a trespasser. And it's the same officers that were there in the very beginning, the first officers. It was a lady officer who was really cool with me. And so the two guy officers are over there talking to Skip. And she's over here talking to me, and I say, and she's like, don't worry, I know, we just have to let him know what the law is, and he can't kick you out. So we're just letting him know. And I said, okay, well, just so you know, there was an officer here about an hour ago, whenever it was. I think it was about an hour ago. At that point, and he told Skip he has to tape that door. He hasn't taped that door because he changed his lock right after you guys were here and you left. Skip changed that lock, and so he has to tape that door. And she's like, okay, hold on a second. So she goes over, and then she goes back to me about, 15 seconds later. She says, do you have any bills or anything with your address here on it? I said, yeah. She's like, okay, can you give me that? I said, yeah. And can you bring me your ID? Yeah, sure. So I go upstairs, I bring her the bills, I bring her the ID. She brings it over to her partner, comes back. She's like, okay, yeah, it looks good. So he's going to tape the door. And if he does anything, if he tries to let himself into your apartment, which actually he had done like an hour and a half before that. When I wasn't there, Stephanie stopped him. He tried to let himself into the apartment. And I went down there and I was talking to him. Right after that, he was on the phone calling the cops who had just showed up. And I was going to tell him, hey, you can't tape the door. I'm sorry. You can't let yourself into my door without 24 hours notice. That's the law. But he's on the phone. He's like walked away, and his wife got in his car. His wife was there. Got in his car, closed the door. So I'm waiting for him, looking at my phone. I look up at his wife. His wife is filming me on her phone. She's like, I'm filming on my phone, so she's filming me on her phone, just like staring at me. It's like, okay, that's fine. I said, hey lady, I'm a lot of things, but I'm not stupid. And more to the point, I know the law. So I get tired of waiting for Skip after about 2 minutes, and I say just into the camera, I say, Skip, you can't put your keys in my lock without 24 hours notice, just so you know. And I start to walk away, and I hear her say, no. And so I said, what? She said, that's not true, you're a squatter. I said, no, actually I'm a tenant. She's like, no, you're a squatter. I'm like, no, after 60 days. She's like, you never paid rent. I said, I did pay rent. She's like, not to us. Like, that doesn't matter. I guess it does, and then I walked off. And it doesn't matter. I'm a squatter to them, but I'm a tenant to this apartment. Anyways, and that ended up being true. So this is like the 29th, 30th, 1st. This is the 2nd. This is on May 2nd. And so Skip can't, he tries. This is the third time the cops come on the day. It's 4:30. So he tapes the door with masking tape. But it holds the little lock back. He uses 2 pieces of masking tape, and it holds the lock back. Yeah, all right, that'll work. Well, I think Stephanie and I went out that night, came back, and the door was locked. So I reached up and I undid the handle, because you can get in, but I'm not going to lay on the ground and do this and like advertise that this is how you break into this door every time. It's a major street. Every time I go in and out of the house. Stupid. So I let myself in, and I'm like, okay, well, if he doesn't do it, fix it tomorrow. So this was the thing. The lady officer said, hey, by the way, he's taping the door tonight. But if that tape, if he takes the tape off, if that door is locked, you call us. That leaves you out on the street. That's a crime. We'll go to his house and arrest him. So let us know. So okay, that's great, thanks. So the next day, he didn't fix it by the time that they closed the gate. And by the way, the next day I found that day, shortly after the cops left, I went in my house. The internet wasn't working. I went outside. He cut the freaking cable. What a child. Like, that's going to make me leave. Like, I'm going to say, oh, fine. What? No, it's just annoying and illegal. And I called the cops, and they said that they can't come out. If it was the power, they could come out. They could go arrest him. If it was the power or the water or, like, the gas. But not for the internet. Anyways, okay, so I called Time Warner Cable, and they sent a guy out on Tuesday. This is Monday. They're going to send a guy out on Tuesday. Tuesday comes, he doesn't retape the door. The door's locked. As soon as that gate closes at the end of the night, 4:30 at night, and I got my internet repaired, by the way. And I found out on Monday night, that my power I was waiting for I called the power company. I said, well, hey, it's like 4:30 at night. You guys coming out or not? You said you're coming out on Monday. And they said, no, we decided not to send anybody because we looked and we saw that your power was actually never turned off. I said, what? They're like, yeah, check to see if there's a breaker. Well, I hadn't checked. I just assumed he was on the phone and he called the power company and had it turned off. And when I called the power company and I had it put in my name, when I tried to do that a week and a half before that, they said they couldn't do it because it was in somebody else's name. So when they said, yes, we'll put it in your name, I assumed that it was taken off somebody else's name. Anyway, I went outside. The main breaker where, like, you know, if one thing goes down, it wasn't in there. It was like a main breaker. I found the main breaker box. Boom, I got power. That was Monday night. So now it's Tuesday night. I got the internet back. I got power. I got everything. I don't have a gate key to this new thing, and the door's locked. So I have a little bit of power at this point. I could have Skip arrested. Right then, I could have Skip arrested. I could call the cops and have Skip arrested. So this is almost like a little bit of a chance to mend things a little bit. And flex. Flex just a little bit. So I texted Skip. I said, the tape failed. The door is locked. This is the last night that I'm going to be so kind-hearted. Left it at that. He didn't write back, of course. He has never written back. So the next day, sure enough, it got taped about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And also, I got a 3-day pay-or-quit notice, which was very important. Because that says that I'm a tenant. In fact, I have it right here. It says that I'm a tenant. 3 days. It was taped with the same blue tape that he used to tape that door over there. And yeah, it lists me. It's got my name spelled wrong. But it lists me and my roommate, and it lists his name and his address. I needed his name and his address. Actually, I had his address, but I wasn't sure if it was right. I got it from Anthony like a month before that. But here's the thing. He asked for $1,850, which for 2 months. Divided by 2 is $925. That's not 700 times 2. That's not $1,400. It's $1,850. So he's trying to raise the rent on me by $225 a month. And by the way, Anthony, my roommate, did not pay rent in April, so I owe money for April's rent. That stinks. But it's worth it. If I have to pony up $1,400 for the first month and $700 after that, this place is worth it. It's fine. It's fine. So, this was Tuesday. I got the internet repaired. I think it was like was it Tuesday night or Wednesday? 3-day pay or quit, and the internet was cut again. It got cut Monday and it got cut Tuesday. But this time the internet guy had left me with an extension cable which I wanted inside, like 15 feet of cable. So I went out to the splitter outside, took off the broken bit that Skip had cut, and I screwed in that bit, and I just went in through the kitchen window. I just poked a little hole in the screen. I said, "Fine, Skip, you're gonna try and kick me out because I hurt your screen when you're freaking cutting my cable, cutting my power, stealing my stuff. Try it." Anyway, so I just ran it in through the screen, and he hasn't cut that yet. It's been a week. It's been 5 days, almost 6 days. Anyways, got my 3-day pay or quit, and I crafted him a letter, which I think was pretty good. I'm not gonna read it. It was pretty good. It was pretty flex. It was pretty strong. I said, listen, you're going to accept, I had 2 cashier's checks because it said on 3-day pay or quit, no personal checks. I said, listen, I'm going to pay you $1,400, 2 $700 checks. It represents, April and May, paid in full. Then you're going to accept that, and you're going to give me back my parking spot and a key to the gate, or you can file an unlawful detainer, try and get me kicked out, try to prove that I owe more than $700 a month. But if you do that, I'm going to sue you for harassment. And it's going to be much more expensive than just accepting $700 a month. And then I said, if you accept those checks, then we also, I laid out some other terms. I was like, if you accept the checks, then you accept this. It was very reasonable things. I want to establish communication. I want to hear back from you within 24 hours of when I submit some communication through the email. It was also, I need the key to the gate, and if I don't get that every day, I don't get that, it's $50 off the next month's rent. So I just established, some this is how things are going to go. If you accept that. Or you can try and sue, or you try and evict me, and I'll sue you. He hasn't gotten back to me, and as of yesterday night, he hadn't cashed the checks. I doubt he's going to cash the checks. So now what? Now I think tomorrow I'll find out if he files an unlawful detainer for going to court. If he's going to fraudulently try to prove that rent was more than $700, and that's that. So, anyways, so we'll find out. For all I know, rent really was $925. Maybe Anthony was messing with me. Maybe Anthony was telling me it was $700, but I don't think he was. Because my rent that I was paying him was $375, and that had utilities included. Electricity was included, which was sometimes $100 a month. In the winter when I was running the electrical heat, it was like $150 a month. So maybe Anthony was being like super sweetheart. I don't see why he would do that. So anyway, it was probably, and he told me once that rent was $750 a month, and then I heard him tell his sister it was $700. Though that makes sense. It doesn't make sense that he would tell me $750, tell his sister $700, and it was actually $925. That doesn't make sense. So we'll find out. I saw Skip today downstairs. He was loading some stuff into the area below me. By the way, I may be getting frickin' microwaved right now or something for all I know. But anyway, and I said hi, of course, and he, of course, didn't say anything. So, I didn't tell you. So after I sent a letter, that night, it was like midnight, and I was going to bed, and I decided I wanted to move my scooter out of the street, move it up onto the sidewalk, and chain it to the outside. I was like, it's too late. He's not going to come by. It's midnight. He's not going to come by and tow it. I go out there. I don't even know why I didn't see it because it was like right there in the street right in front of me. I had to wait till I was like 10 feet away from my scooter before I look up and I see in the boulevard in the turning lane a huge tow truck, a big flatbed tow truck, which is what you need for a motorcycle. You can't just use a normal tow truck because the two wheels and the balancing, it doesn't work. So I looked up at the driver, and about 2 seconds later, he gunned it, sped off. Okay. I decided to leave my scooter in the street, not put it on the sidewalk where it could get towed because it's private property at that point. Part of it. So that's weird, but that's just him hiring a tow truck driver to come and do work. The weirder part comes the next day when 11 o'clock in the morning, a cop car slows down right in front of the scooter. The cop gets out of the passenger side. It's this lady cop, 45, shorter haircut. Walks to the back of the bike, checks the plate, scratches her head, gets back in the car, and they drive off. 20 minutes later, I'm going to run an errand. As I'm getting on the bike and starting it, the same cop car goes by. So now I'm behind them. They turn where I need to turn, so I follow them. Then they stop right in the middle it's a 2-lane road, and they stop and block traffic, and then waves me by. The driver waves me by. So I go by, and then they start to follow me, like about 100 feet behind me. I'm like, no. So there's a parking spot, it's all parking spots on the sides of the road. There's an open right there, so I pull over and I park. He stops 100 feet back. Cars packing up behind him. He's waving them by. And they're trickling by. After about 30 seconds or so, he starts to go. And then he comes up right by me and goes super slowly. And I look at the lady, and she looks at me, and she smiles, and I nod at her. I'm like looking at my Facebook, pretending I'm doing something. And then they go up about 5 car lengths and pull into the next parking spot that's open. Presumably to wait for me to go. I had turned my bike off, and it wouldn't start for a second, which is weird. And then I decided to go the other way to a different, I was going to the bank, different bank branch. So I had cops don't check plates on parked anything. That's parking. People. Cops don't do that. So I had a cop check my parked bike. Same cop stop in the middle of the road instead of keeping it going so that I would pass so that he would be behind me and then go super slow after a cop. A cop was basically messing with me, or ready to pull me over. If I had any alcohol on me, God forbid, they could have given me a DUI, because etc., etc., etc. They were looking to pick a fight with me. So that's a little bit next level from a tow truck. So anyway, Skip's not happy, but I did not get intimidated out. I got a little squeamish there for a minute. I mean, who knows what's coming? But if it's a UD, then it's it's gonna be a harassment lawsuit, and then I may just get my $16,000 and be able to stay, and that'd be okay with me. So we'll see. I might come home and there might be like a horse head in my bed, or worse. I mean, I may get hit by a car, when I'm out riding my bike. A stranger may drive by and shoot my dog or something. I mean, I'm not surprised. I did suspect that Skip was mafia. Not like Italian mafia, like Jewish mafia, like just mafia. So, and it looks like I'm right. I mean, that's cop power. Remember that day there was 3 cops? The second one, the big burly one, like I said, smelled funny. There was something smelly there. He was insisting I was a squatter, that I needed to go. I can't park on the lot. Based on a phone call. And they were there 3 hours after I called initially. I called, and then I had to call a third time while I'm waiting on the phone the third time on 911. The guy rolled up. Anyways, a couple of smelly cops, and I'm in a freaking mafia house. So, am I happy to be here? Not really. It's a sweet apartment. It's a good rate, and I'm fighting. I've got fight in me. And I'm on the right side of the law, the right side of morally. I'm in the right. There's justice here. But I got a guy who doesn't want to play by the rules. I'm just keeping track of everything and putting this video out on YouTube just to make a record, because it may be Doug Berry 1978 to 2016 before we know it. And if that happens, and this is still on YouTube, then may everything that I just said get investigated. And may Marc Skipwith spend the rest of his life in jail. Anyway, there will be updates. Thanks. Thanks for listening.